Hello, Batman here. I've heard there are a lot of people who are interested in drawing me, and I've asked my longtime artist friend Al Bigley to demonstrate how he makes such magnificent drawings of me. So just follow along and you too will be a magnificent Batman artist in no time flat. So this is Batman saying, stay safe, have fun, and keep drawing. I'll see you soon.
Hey everybody, thanks a lot, Batman. Looking great. You might want to do something about that voice, maybe a throat lozenge, something. Anyway, well hey, I'm glad you could join me. My name is Al Bigley. I'm a professional cartoonist, commercial artist, illustrator, and I've been asked to do a quick tutorial on drawing. Guess who? Batman. So, join along. Get some blank paper, some pencils, and I'll show you how to draw the Caped Crusader. Now, as you probably know, Batman's been around for over 80 years now, and he's been drawn in a number of ways by a number of artists. I am going to do the more animated type from the 90s cartoon, which I did a lot of merchandise work for, but you can add more detail if you want, like Neil Adams. Less detail, like this style, or with even less detail than this, like the way Alex Toth would draw his comics. He was a famous proponent of less is more in his art. It's all good. It's all up to you. So let's get started. All right. So this, of course, is my finished drawing, but let me show you how I got started. I got started breaking this down into basic shapes, and you can draw anything if you learn to look for the basic shapes, whether it's a car, a tree, a person sitting across the room from you, anything at all. No matter how complicated it looks, learn to look for the basic shapes. In this case, of course, I'm going to use a lot of squares and cylinders. Let's get in a square for Batman's head. Now, of course, I'd be using pencil to first map this out, not pen. I'm using a pen here, a Sharpie, so you can see it from this distance. Let's go ahead and map in a big triangle. Or maybe a square that's been sort of pinched on one end. For Batman's torso here. Notice how I've overlapped the square for the head. Let's put in his right arm with a big old cylinder shape. That's all that is. Or kind of a cone. Don't worry about the details yet. That's what frustrates young artists, old seasoned pros. They try to get to the exciting stuff right away, and they skip a lot of these steps. And that's what makes it frustrating. They'll spend hours on getting the head in just right, for example, putting in great shading, dramatic lighting, and then they realize, I didn't plan the rest of the drawing. There's no room on my page, or I messed up here. This way we get our basic layout down early. And then we can make changes as we need them after this step. Another cylinder right there for the forearm, kind of like a bowling pin shape. And the other arm, which is somewhat behind him, again, another pipe or cylinder, just like that. It appears to be coming out of his shoulder, but it's actually behind him. Let's put in this hand that's going to be a little big because it's close to us. Pretty much a square shape here to represent the palm. And his fingers are going to be folded over kind of like this. So let's put in, I guess, a bit more of a rectangle. And another pipe for his thumb, which will be extended, like that. A little bit like that. Good, good. Notice I'm keeping it simple. I'm not worrying about details. Let's put in that right leg. I'm going to put in just a big curved cylinder, a curved pipe. Joins right there at the waist on the side, just like that. Let's go to the other side. Another big curved pipe. Start at the crotch down to the knee. Look at that. Anything can be made to be a simple series of basic shapes. And you can draw basic shapes. Everyone can. Let's go back here and put a bit of a rectangle for his foot. That is behind his knee, of course. We know he's got a calf and a lower leg, but we can't see it. This is called foreshortening. Like if I hold this pen like this, we can see its length, but if it's coming toward you or away from you, it seems much shorter. We know it's got this much height, but once it comes toward you, it seems shorter. Same with these limbs. That's called foreshortening, and some things are hidden behind others with overlapping. Let's go for the calf on the other leg here. Another pinched, sort of pinched bowling ball shape, bowling pin shape, I should say. And let's put a little protuberance here for the knee. Coming together nicely. What about this other hand? Well, this other hand, we're going to be seeing the back of the hand. So let's just represent that by another kind of square plank. Right there. Fingers. Let's put in another sort of square with one finger, the pinky dangling off there to the side. Nice and simple. Good job. And the thumb here, again, another cylinder coming off the side of the hand. Now this is going to be a little tough. I've got his foot where, all right, let me demonstrate. Let's see, I got the wrong shoe here. Hold on, give me a second. All right, we're not just seeing this, we're seeing this and it's turned up a bit. So we're seeing a bit of the underside, a bit of the top, and a bit of the side of the shoe. All right, let's keep it simple, right? Let's make a bit of a bell shape, right where his ankle meets the top of the foot. We're going to make that little bell shape, just like that. And if you can't draw this, just come down with maybe a shape like this. A sort of triangle shape that can be his foot represented as being flat. That works too. All right, now for the bottom, we're going to make like a number 8 that represents the underside of the foot, the heel. I'm trying to thicken this up for ease of viewing. Just like that. Nice and simple. Now don't think this is a way you have to start any drawing. There are some artists that start with the wildest doodle. They take the side of the pencil and make the most sketchy looking image you can imagine, but it gets them started. Some people want to put in every detail and it works for them. I wouldn't recommend it, but they're starting the upper left and work their way down. They'll work their way all the way down with every detail. There's no right or wrong way to draw. Whatever works for you is what works. All right, now for the cape, something behind him. Again, just a lot of curves, you know. Remember, this is going to be behind the figure. But if you're using pencil and you want to draw through the figure, that's fine too, if that helps you keep track. That's what I do on my pencil drawings. Here's the edge of that side of the cape flap. Here I'm going to make the cape kind of start right at his clavicle, right below his neck, and kind of flat back, just like that. And then behind him we see the rest of it. Coming up over his left side here. And you can make the cape any way you want. You don't have to follow this. Now I've made some lines here to represent where the interior of the cape is going to be. And then later we're going to put in, of course, his famous scalloped cape design. All right, so let's get a close-up of where we are so far. All right, so here we are. We've got our figure plotted in. And this is the stage 2 where you can look at everything and go, I just spent just a few minutes putting this down. If the head's too big, now I can fix it. If I want to change something with the body, it's easy to fix. As opposed to spending 3 or 4 hours on a detailed drawing and then you realize the head's too big or the hand's all wrong. You notice too, with figures I put a center line that sort of represents the spine that helps me align things. Some people do that also for the face. You can see I've done that here a bit, where the eyes will be. It just helps me line things up. Some lines for the trunks where they're going to fall, but that's just something I need. Your drawing might be different. Your way of doing this might be different. It's all good. Okay, now for the fun part, putting in the details. Now we got our basic shapes down. Let's start up here with the hand and just put in some straight lines to represent the separation of the fingers. It can be that simple. Maybe a line like this for the palm, a little V shape, or a greater than symbol. Let's put a little half circle here, a curve for where that glove meets the upper part of the forearm. And while we're there, let's add his famous glove fins. He always has those 3 glove fins. I always think they represent a bat's kind of serrated wing membranes. The actual fingers on a bat's wings, if you look at the anatomy of a bat. Anyway, I know you didn't come here for a zoology lesson. While we're in this area, let's continue his cape on this side. Let's continue that down. Again, it clasps around his throat. So right at the clavicle, that's going to come down. Let's go ahead and map in some triangles right here for his eyes. They kind of face each other like that. Let's bring the edge of his mask right below that. As we know, he wears a little half mask that leaves his mouth and jaw exposed. I'll try to keep my hat brim out of the way so you can actually see. And let's bring that down here too, because of course the mask only goes about to the rear of his jaw. All right, let's go ahead and put in some triangles for his ears. Batman, as you notice, even though I've used a lot of curves and bowling pin shapes and cylinders, he is, of course, a lot of sharp angles and points to get across that bat motif. We think of their sharp ears, their scalloped, pointy wings, things like that. All right, let's continue putting in some anatomy. Let's represent where the shoulder and the bicep, small anatomy lesson, they kind of, it's like a little backward S shape. And that represents the shoulder and the bicep separating, and it also comes down to create the chest muscle, the pectoral muscle, which just cuts across the torso like that. And you can get as detailed with this as you want or not. Let's go ahead and also map in his belt, which is going to follow the line of the trunks here that we put in earlier. Some people like to make this a thick belt. It's up to you. You have to forgive me, I lost my microphone here. It stopped working, so you might get some ambient actual sounds from the road here. You hear actual nature sounds. Maybe a bat or two will fly by. I've had that happen. All right. It's coming along nicely. Let's go to this hand and put in the glove top. Top of the glove over here. Again, a curved line. And again, for fingers, let's put in some slightly curved lines here. Almost gave him 6 fingers. Who says Batman can't have 6 fingers? He can have 6 fingers, right? It's our drawing. We can do anything we want. All right. Nice and simple. Let's put in the glove fins over here. You can make those sharp or squared off like I'm doing. Again, I'm kind of going toward the 90s animated series Batman. Very simplified and stylized. All about motion and movement and shape. Let's further define the trunks. This line's going to curve this way because that leg's going away from us. This line's going to go this way because this leg is coming toward us. Again, imagine a cylinder coming toward you or away from you. Looking good. We can't see the top of this boot, but we can see the top of this one. And Batman, again, wears pointy boots. There's that sharp angle motif again. As I look, I notice I forgot something. Let's go back to the head. Put in a little bit of a nose. I'm just putting a little curved line, kind of like this beneath the mask. If you want to put a little nostril in there, you can. And we're going to do a close-up of that in a minute. Keep it simple. His mouth can be nothing but one line, but I'm putting another line under it to create this kind of look, like a slightly opened mouth. Kind of like that. Since we're putting in details like that, let's go ahead back to the inner cape lines and add those scallop shapes. And again, because you're doing this first in pencil, I hope, you can erase all this stuff later, after you ink it in, once you're satisfied with your pencil drawing. And you can make that cape design any way you like. Of course, we're forgetting Batman's chest insignia, which is really a curve, a big curve under the clasp of his cape. And then the side of the bat wings, like that. Another curve that comes down right there in the middle. We're going to repeat that on the other side. It's got a long tail. And then for its head, you can make just 2 little points like that if you want. Or you can add a little curved top of the head shape there. It's up to you. Now, interesting thing about Batman's chest insignia, when he was first created, for his first 25 years or so in the comics, he just had a simple bat insignia on his chest. And you may have noticed years later they decided to put a yellow moon beneath the insignia. Now, why is that? It's because you can't copyright a simple bat shape. Think about all the Halloween decorations you've seen with many different types of generic bat shapes. Same reason Superman has a very stylized S shield, an emblem, kind of a logo on his chest. You can't copyright the letter S, and he can't go around just with an S scrawled with a Sharpie on his chest. That's the reason we have these different insignias and emblems. All right, speaking of details, let's put in the belt buckle. Right there in the middle. Right there in the middle. And if you want to just put lines to represent either pouches on his belt, or sometimes he's depicted with these pencil-like vials that he can keep, you know, smoke pellets in and lock picks and things like that. It's up to you. All right. Let me give you a close-up of this to check our progress. So once again, look how I kept everything nice and simple. Even putting the fingers in, just straight lines across squares and triangles. Even this is enough to give us the recognizable Batman head. See how simple I kept the nose like we talked about? There's that bat emblem, nice and simple. You can make it more detailed if you want, add more scallops to the wings, whatever. It's up to you. But keep it simple. Make it easy on yourself, make it easy on the viewer. There's that difficult foot where we see the underside and a bit of the top portion. Foreshortening in action. This is also foreshortening as things come toward us. This is an example of overlapping. That shoulder covers the rest of his arm, just like his knee here covers the lower leg except for the foot that we see. Same thing with the cape. His arm overlaps the cape. You notice I did some things a little differently, building on our same basic shape drawing. A lot of Batman's accessories, like his gloves and boots, are dark blue or black. Here, I made them black, but I left these areas open to represent where the light hits these things and put sort of a stripe onto them. And usually these stripes go along with the motion, the angle of these parts of the figure. Same for the mask, and we're going to close up on this in a minute. Trunks, for the highlights, it's just kind of a Z shape in there, a little Z shape here or an S shape, just so long as it gets across the idea of wrinkles. That's all we're doing in any art, especially cartooning, is getting across the suggestion of things, of motion, of movement, of foreshortening, of overlapping, of depth. This overlapping gives us a sense of depth. We know this is a flat drawing. It's got height and width, but no dimension. So we're trying to create the illusion of depth. Another way to do that is to put any object behind your figure. Even this simple line now represents he's in front of something. Again, fully flat drawing. What if I put a moon up here, or a round shape, a spotlight? Maybe the bat signal. Overlapping. So there you go. Let's get a close-up of some of the things I did here. So here's a close-up of some of the shading I was talking about, where light comes from this side and hits this part of the arm. Suggest a few wrinkles at the wrist, maybe. Same over here, the light's hitting the roundest portion of the forearm, back of the hand, the fingers. And you don't have to get this complicated at all. This represents light hitting right here in the middle of the head, sort of on that right side of the body. Again, a suggestion of wrinkles for the neck. Same with the trunks. This is enough you need to represent that bit of lighting on the outer parts of this boot. Same here. I added a bit more musculature with the bicep, the diaphragm. Again, there's those lines that help us define the middle of the torso. A little bit more here with the shoulder. Makes them look a little bulkier, a little more muscular, of course. But a lot of fun. Again, it's always easiest to keep things simple and easy. Anything you see can be drawn using basic shapes. Learn to look at things that way. Is that a cylinder? Is that a circle? If you were drawing Mickey Mouse, of course, you'd use a series of circles for his head and ears. SpongeBob SquarePants, of course, squares and rectangles. Cars would be like basically shoe boxes with little ovals for wheels. So thank you for joining me. I hope you had fun. You can always replay this video and try more drawings. Try again if you weren't happy with your first drawing. Or draw this and make it your own character. Make it you. Make it a football player, a fireman, a guy just running. There's no limit to what you can do with art and with drawing. So this is Al Bigley saying, Stay well and stay healthy and keep drawing, just like Batman says.
Thank you.